7 spine-chilling farm horror tales uncover the sinister secrets in the haunted cornfields. The wind howled like a banshee as Lisa Johnson gathered her children, Ellie and Max, reminding them to stay close. It was the harvest festival, a glimmer of tradition on their struggling farm, but darkness loomed over it all. The townsfolk chuckled and exchanged pleasantries, but Lisa felt the dread coil tighter around her heart. Each laugh echoed in her mind, a sinister warning about what lay beneath the soil of their land, a place that whispered secrets older than the ancient barn that creaked in the distance. A sudden chill crept up her spine when Ellie and Max raced to the edge of the cornfield, their shouts mixing with the rustling stalks. She could see the thrill in their eyes as they darted among the towering plants, yet unease prickled beneath her skin. What was this land hiding? The air felt thick with unspoken fears, the kind that sent vibrations through her very core. "Don't wander too far," she called, but her voice trembled with unexplained terror. That's when they screamed. Strong hands gripped the trowel nearby, and Lisa stumbled toward the source of the noise, fear drumming in her chest. In their haste, Ellie and Max had unearthed something in the dark, damp soil, a doll half buried, dirt caking its face, unblinking eyes staring blankly at them. But it wasn't just the doll. There were rusted tools and something that had first looked like a piece of jewelry, an ominous locket inscribed with a name that seemed to be calling out from the grave. "Please, don't touch that," Lisa shouted as she rushed to them, her stomach flipping. "It could be dangerous." In her eyes, this was more than junk. These were remnants of lives lost, buried secrets begging to resurface. But Ellie and Max, sweet and curious, looked at their mother with wide, innocent eyes. "Mom, it's just a toy," Max said, his voice small. But Lisa felt it. Something lurked beneath the surface. She remembered the stories whispered by the town's elders about Mr. Grayson, their peculiar neighbor who lingered like a shadow at the corners of her vision. As if sensing her thoughts, he appeared, coffee cup in hand, an unsettling smile creeping across his face. "Even toys must have histories," he mused, his voice smooth yet chilling. "This land carries its own stories." Before she could respond, the festival wrapped up, and news of missing residents began to swirl through the crowd like a thick fog. Laughter turned to whispers, confusion to fear. Strangers glanced over their shoulders, not certain what lurked past the safety of the light. And still, Mr. Grayson lingered, his presence binding the air with something ominous. That night, the storm rolled in, dark clouds threatening like a portent of doom. Thunder reverberated, while Lisa's heart raced as she called for her children and got no response. Panic clawed at her throat, a fierce beast hungry for escape. "Ellie? Max?" She stepped outside, rain pelting her skin, shadows dancing in the flickering light. As she stepped deeper into the cornfields, the winds whispered her name. Then she heard them, soft cries, a plea for help fading with every heartbeat. Her feet moved, though fear threatened to pin her down. The power cut out. All was darkness, her calls swallowed by the storm. Just as she thought she glimpsed the bright jackets of her children weaving through the thick maze of stalks, she stumbled upon Mr. Grayson again. His face was distorted, a sinister grin spreading unnaturally wide across his features. "You shouldn't be here, Lisa," he hissed, as laughter echoed like a chilling chorus. "The land has its demands. Offerings must be made." Those words sent shivers down her spine. The history of this haunted land, dragging her deeper into its grip. In that chilling moment of realization, Lisa understood. To save her children, she would have to confront the dark legacy buried deep within the earth and face the terror manifesting in both Grayson's eyes and the heart of the cornfields. But could she stand against the spirits that clamored for souls? The narrow passage of light faded into suffocating darkness, the wind's howl now a relentless scream. What fate awaited her on this cursed land? She had to find her children before the harvest took its next victim. The rain poured down with a desperation that matched her heart rate, pounding against the earth like an angry drum. Lisa stumbled forward, the world around her cloaked in darkness. Even the familiar contours of her farm had vanished, replaced by a tangle of shadows and half-formed shapes that loomed like lurking monsters. Panic surged. Where were Ellie and Max? "Ellie! Max!" Her cries were swallowed by the wind, mere echoes that vanished before they could reach their ears. She was lost.
a solitary figure in a choking mass of plants, and each moment spent searching intensified the gnawing dread in her gut. A rustle to her left made her freeze. Was it the wind, or something else? Lisa squinted into the blackness, fear pulling deeper in her chest. There it was again, a soft, pitiful whimper. It sounded so close, so familiar. "Mommy!" It was Ellie. Lisa rushed toward the sound, weaving through the wet stalks. "I'm coming. Stay where you are." Hope ignited within her, chasing away some of the despair that threatened to overtake her. Then she heard Max's voice, a terrified whimper tinged with confusion. "Ellie! Max! Ellie! Hold on!" She barreled forward. The once playful touch of the cornfield now felt like a maze intent on trapping her. Just ahead, the shadows parted slightly, revealing the faint glow of something shimmered through the rain. Lisa drew closer, but just as she reached for it, the ground gave way beneath her. She stumbled, falling to her knees into the mud. "Mom!" The children's voices rang out, but they sounded distant.
Lisa clenched her teeth and crawled forward, dragging herself through the muck. It clawed at her hands and knees, pulling her down as if trying to claim her for the earth. Finally, she reached the glow. Another doll, eerily similar to the first. Its face was cracked and splattered with mud, wide eyes staring blankly into the void. "What is this?" she gasped, grasping for answers in the depths of her fear. The realization hit her. This was connected to the things they had unearthed earlier. But what was more chilling was the stark, unmistakable name engraved on the locket from the first doll. Abigail. Her breath caught in her throat. It was the name of the girl who had gone missing long ago, a name that hung over the farm like thick, choking fog. This was no ordinary harvest. It was a revival of something horrifying. Just then, the air shifted. Lisa felt something cold wash over her. The laughter from earlier returned, hollow and rich with malice, bouncing off the stalks. Mr. Grayson materialized next to her, impossibly close, his grin stretching again in that grotesque way. "You found her playthings. Abigail has been waiting for someone to join her." He reached down, extending a hand dripping with moisture and shadows. Lisa jerked back, heart racing. "Stay away from us." But something deep inside her urged to listen. Was this really a warning or an invitation? The children's cries grew more desperate, getting richer in panic. Grayson only chuckled, tilting his head. "That land demands its sacrifices." Lisa's heart pounded as she realized the truth. It was not just the children she had to save, but herself and her very soul. If she didn't act, the cornfield wouldn't just bury her children, it would swallow their spirits whole. "Stop this! You can't have them!" She screamed into the storm, her voice trembling as she pulled away from Grayson's grasp. In that instant, the ground beneath her tremored, the earth mocking her vehemence. The wind shrieked, and the once familiar cries of her children warped into tormented wails that echoed in the creeping dark. Hope mingled with despair as Lisa plunged deeper into the maelstrom of corn. She felt like a moth flapping blindly toward a flame. Could she find Ellie and Max before the darkness devoured them all? With every heartbeat, the whispers grew louder, beckoning her to join the dreadful harvest. Would she be strong enough to free them, or just another name to add to the ominous tales of Grayson's cursed land? The shadows thickened as she moved, her mind racing. What horrifying truths awaited her in the heart of the cornfield? The tight, eerie laughter wrapped around her as she dashed into the dark, the storm swirling like a vortex behind her. Lisa's breath came in ragged gasps as she bolted further into the cornfield, her hands slick with mud and desperation. The world around her felt alive, the stalks whispering secrets she couldn't decipher, but one thing was clear: time was slipping away.
With every step, the laughter of Grayson echoed ominously in her mind, a taunt mingled with the frantic cries of her children. "Ellie! Max!" she shouted again, her voice barely slicing through the relentless rain. The darkness swallowed her words, swallowing her hope whole. Suddenly, the ground trembled again, and she stumbled, falling hard to her side. The corn swayed like angry giants, the kernels shaking loose in a storm of fury. She pushed herself up, her heart thrumming wildly, but the sobbing of her children grew distant, pulled away from her by an unseen force. With sheer determination, she pushed on. The shadows seemed to thicken, swallowing the weak glow from the discarded doll. Each flickering light sent chills down her spine, draining her courage bit by bit. A flash of memory flickered in her mind, the tales she'd heard as a girl about this land, stories that old folks told by the fire. The laugh of a child, a dark fortune, and a harvest gone wrong. "Mommy!" the voice echoed again, but now it felt like a cruel joke, darting around her like a mocking ghost. "Where are you?" She veered left, guided by a spark of hope she clung to. Grayson's laughter rang louder as she ran, growing nearer, bonfire-like in its sinister warmth. What if he was drawing her into a trap? What if it was all part of his game? Lisa stumbled upon a clearing where the rain slashed down, but the wind suddenly stilled. This corner felt eerily quiet. Against the backdrop of looming stalks, she spotted something. A wooden swing, its ropes stained and frayed, swaying gently despite the absence of wind. Ellie used to play here. The thought gnawed at her, twisting her insides. As she approached the swing, a sharp crack sounded from above. She looked up just in time to see a branch snapping, falling directly toward her. She dove to the side urgently, the sharp edges slicing through the space where she had just stood. Falling debris crashed to the ground, sinking into the mud and soaking it in dark filth. "Mommy!" the voices screamed again, desperate and echoing, but now they seemed to come from everywhere, swirling around her like a hungry storm. "Stay with me! I'm coming!" Lisa called. Her voice trembled but fiery. But deep down, dread gnawed. Were they really here? Were they in danger? Or was this all an elaborate illusion crafted by Mr. Grayson? Before she could ponder further, movement caught her eye. A figure darted between the stalks behind her. A child's silhouette. Panic surged as she turned, chasing after it, hope igniting in her chest once more. "Ellie! Max!" As she waded through the corn, the whispers seemed to change, turning into mocking giggles. The figures vanished just as quickly, teasing her with promises of freedom, only to twist into nightmares. Lisa could already feel despair tightening its grip once more, sinking her deeper into the mire of her fears. "Mommy!" A voice broke through the haze, a whisper drenched in unmistakable terror. It was Ellie.
"No!" Lisa's heart shot into her throat as she ran faster, the laughter of Grayson ringing in her ears. She felt claws of panic as she realized she wasn't just losing them. The cornfield was trying to claim her too. And then she noticed it, a movement from the far edge of the field, a flash of white against the green. Was it Ellie's dress? Lisa lunged toward it, her heart hammering against her chest. But as she plunged through the last row of corn, she stopped dead in her tracks. What lay before her was not the bright smile of her daughter or her son's outstretched hand, but a wide pit filled with earth, each clod darker than the last, sprinkled with old stained relics of something terrible. And then she heard the laughter again, echoing from the darkness. It was no longer just Grayson's. "Mommy, help us." That word hung heavy in the air, tangible and thick. The children's voices echoed, filled with fear, but twisted into something dark and sinister. Behind her, the shadows shifted. The wind began to howl, almost as if the cornfield itself was madly hungry. In that moment, Lisa knew she was not just searching for her children. She was standing on the edge of something far more horrific, and every choice she made would determine whether they would be freed or forever claimed by the cursed land. The ground quaked again, a low rumble, and countless whispers filled the air. Would she take the plunge into the pit to save them, or turn away into the darkness that promised safety? The night was closing in fast. Time was no longer on her side. A figure emerged from the shadows, and Lisa's throat tightened as she recognized the face. Grayson, grinning wide, stretched out his hand. "Join us, Lisa. The harvest is almost complete." Would she dare to stand against him, or would the pool of darkness prove too strong? The chilling uncertainty clung to her like the oppressive rain, binding her in that moment of choice. As the earth roared beneath her, one question echoed in her mind. Would she be the mother who saves them, or the one who sacrifices everything to the haunting fields? The laughter twisted into a cruel melody, wrapping around Lisa like a vice. Grayson stood before her, his grin wide and teeth glimmering in the dim light. The earth trembled beneath her feet, a heartbeat echoing in the terrifying silence. "Join us," he repeated, each word dripping with malice. "The harvest waits for no one." Lisa's eyes darted around. The pit loomed menacingly, shadows clinging to its edges like demons in the dark. Her breath quickened. Every second felt like a countdown. She couldn't let him win. Not tonight. "Where are my kids?" Her voice cracked, desperation painted across her face. The shadows seemed to mock her plea, swirling like a dark mist. "Do you really want to know?" Grayson's voice slithered through the air, taunting. "They're playing hide and seek.
in the best fates.
The ground surged, a powerful pulse beneath the soil, sending tremors through her body. She felt the cornfield throb like a living creature, hungry and alive. The whispers crescendoed, mounting into a cacophony of chaos, drowning her in their madness. "Mommy!" The cry was faint but clear, echoing out from the pit. It was Ellie. Her voice pulled at Lisa's heart, igniting a helpless fire within her. "Ellie!" she screamed, the name bursting forth like a painful wound. "I'm coming!" In an instant, the laughter faded, leaving only the rush of her heart and the relentless rain. She dashed toward the pit, mud sucking at her feet like an abyss trying to keep her from moving. Grayson remained still, watching with an unsettling satisfaction. With each step closer to the pit, the ground seemed to quake in warning. Lisa could feel its dark history, the lives that had been lost, buried beneath the layer of loam. The thought made her skin crawl. But she had to push through. "Mommy?" Again, the call was sharper, tinged with urgency. Lisa gritted her teeth. She would not lose her fight. This was the moment, the turning point. Kneeling at the edge of the pit, Lisa peered into the darkness, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The air was heavy, thick with the taste of terror. She spied movement at the bottom, a flicker of white amidst the dark. "Ellie? Help!" Ellie's voice trembled like a brittle leaf, resonating deep within her. "Hold on!" she shouted, feeling a surge of adrenaline propel her forward. She couldn't hesitate. As she leaned in, a force surged from below, the earth swirling as if it were alive, reaching for her. A gust of wind whipped around her, and she felt herself being pulled closer, a gravitational tug of despair. "Lisa." Grayson's voice was a geneless chant. "Join us. Join them." The primal fear clawed out her throat, but then a crack in the air as a hand appeared from the pit, reaching out desperately. "Mommy!" Max's small voice cut through the shadows, strong and demanding, igniting all the surviving hope within her. "Grab my hand," she cried, stretching her fingers toward their grasp, but the darkness around her bubbled and seethed with hungry malice. In that moment, the whispers shifted. They turned harsh, furious. "Don't save them. They're ours." Lisa hesitated, fear wrestling with maternal instinct. Did she refuse what she could not see, or did she dive into the unknown and risk the consequences? "Please, Mommy." Ellie's voice quaked, crackling like dry wood. The ground shook violently, and Lisa was thrown backward. She landed hard, the world spinning around her. Grayson's laughter thundered above her, a sinister symphony, drowning her thoughts. "Choose wisely," he mocked, stepping back into the shadows, "or reap the rewards with the rest of them." Gasping for breath, Lisa scrambled to her feet. Her heart raced as she looked into the pit once more, eyeing the hand stretching toward her.
She felt the darkness pulling, the shadows beckoning her to give in. But the flicker of life in the darkness was undeniable. "Ellie! Max!" she yelled, summoning every ounce of courage. Could she fight back against the shadows and snatch them away from the clutches of Grayson's game? Or was she destined to become just another lost soul in this cursed cornfield? Time was running out. The very fabric of the cornfield shook with anticipation, and Lisa pressed herself closer to the edge, heart pounding louder than the storm. What would she risk to save her children? Would she plunge into the pit, diving into the darkness to pull them from the brink? As the inevitable doubt gnawed at her, a final echo rose above the storm. "We need you, Mommy."
her children, the true voices of her heart. Lisa felt that surge of hope, but what awaited her in the abyss? Could she confront the darkness and emerge unscathed? The answers lay hidden in the shadows, just waiting for her next move. The rain intensified, cascading down like a curtain between Lisa and the voices of her children. The pit loomed, a ravenous maw craving sacrifice. She could almost see their silhouettes beneath the murky depths, twitching, pleading, trapped. Grayson stepped forward, his shadow stretching, merging with the darkness. "Don't you see?" he hissed, eyes glinting dangerously. "The more you resist, the stronger they become. You can't win this battle." He lifted his hand, and a whispering breeze rushed from the pit, swirling around her like the arms of a long-lost lover. Shadows danced, flickering across her vision. She felt their cold embrace. Each heartbeat echoed in her ears, the rhythm a macabre melody of desperation. "No!" Lisa roared, her voice piercing the dark. She took a staggering step toward the pit, the ground rumbling in protest. Every pulse of the earth warned her of impending doom, but her children's voices drowned out the fear. "Mommy, please!" Max's cries became a lifeline amidst chaos. Lisa lunged forward, feet sliding in the muck. She felt the abyss beckoning, its secrets alive and writhing with hunger. Just as the edges of her sanity threatened to slip away, she gripped the ledge of the pit, steel resolve firing through her veins. "Ellie, Max!" she cried, reaching deeper, deeper, her fingers trembling as they grazed against a cold, clammy hand. A jolt shot through her as she felt the lifelessness, and panic surged. "No, I won't let go!" But Grayson would not allow it. He roared with laughter, a sound that reverberated through the cornfield, gripping her heart with icy hands. "Join them! You want to save them? Then embrace the darkness!" It was like inhaling smoke, choking, suffocating. Lisa's vision blurred, shadows swirling in a chaotic dance. This was fear personified, creeping into the crevices of her mind. Her heart raced, threatening to burst from her chest. Was she even sure her children were down there?
"Mommy, help!" The plea clutched at her soul, unraveling every doubt. "Hold on, I'm almost there!" She strained forward, battling the unseen forces tugging at her, pulling her back into the dark. The pit vibrated with a primal energy, the surroundings alive with frantic whispers, echoes of the past trapped beneath the soil, each voice trying to drag her down. She gritted her teeth, pulling with all her strength. The earthy scent of rotting vegetation filled her nostrils, mingling with the electrifying taste of fear. With every ounce of willpower, she yanked on the hand clinging to hers. A sudden surge of strength shot through her, the hands from below tucked harder, sinking into the swirl of mud and despair. It was like they had come alive, surging forth in a desperate bid for freedom. "Mommy!" With a forceful cry, Lisa yanked the hand upwards, her muscles screaming under the strain. A face broke the surface, wet and glistening. "Max!" But before she could pull him completely from the pit, tendrils of shadow lashed out, wrapping around her wrists like a vice, icy and constricting. "Leave it! They'll never escape!" Grayson's voice slithered over her, oozing satisfaction. "Join us to save yourself." The whispers escalated into a maddening chorus, pleading, howling, but Lisa's determination flared brighter, a candle against the storm. "No!" she howled, fighting back against the grip of the shadows. With one last surge of energy, she tore Max free, sending him sprawling next to her, but the darkness lunged, capturing her other hand. "Mommy!" She was losing the fight, losing sight of her children. The depths of the pit beckoned with promises she dared not contemplate. Grayson watched, delight dancing in his eyes, as the shadows sizzled against her skin, echoing their desires to consume her whole. Lisa felt her strength waning, her grip on reality thinned. But buried deep within her was a flicker, a desperate fight for the love of her children. "Ellie!" she cried once more, a final plea to the universe. And then, silence fell. A crushing quiet lingered, stopping even the wind. In that emptiness, a single voice pierced through the dark, innocent, sweet, yet laced with an eerie tone. "Mommy, we're still here, but you have to join us." That chilling whisper bore through the void, and Lisa felt the shadows around her pulse with anticipation. What other sacrifices would Grayson demand, and how far could she go to save her children from a fate darker than death?
doubt flashed through her mind as she was pulled closer, the pit beckoning like a gaping maw, promising answers, but offering only more peril. With the darkness swirling around her, she knew she had to decide. Would she let go and join them, or fight tooth and nail for their lives, even if both worlds tore apart in the process? Time was slipping through her fingers, and the answers awaited just beneath the surface. What truths would the shadows reveal?
Lisa's heart raced, panic clawing at her throat. She was losing grip both on Max and reality itself. The shadows around her tightened their hold, a suffocating grip that threatened to drag her down. She couldn't let go. She wouldn't. "Mom, please, I'm scared," Max whimpered, eyes wide with terror as he stared at the pit. The darkness churned around them, thickening, suffusing the air with a metallic taste, like rust and rot. "Hold on, Max!" she shouted, thrusting her other hand toward the pit, as if she could tame it with sheer will. "Mommy, come with us." Ellie's voice, sweet and terrifying, wafted through the storm like a siren's call. It wrapped around her, tempting her to surrender, to embrace the very thing she feared. "We can be together." Lisa shook her head, feeling everything tremble inside her. She'd heard that tone before, a whisper promising peace wrapped in darkness. Memories flooded her like a tidal wave, fragments of joyous laughter and playful moments turned to dust. "No, no!" she screamed, pulling harder. It felt like a tug of war with the depths of despair itself. Grayson cackled, the sound reverberating off the trees, bouncing in the heavy rain. "You think you can win?" he taunted, his presence seeping into her skin like poison. "They are mine now. You either join them or they are forever lost." The shadows twisted, and Lisa felt a cold brush against her cheek. She gasped, recoiling, as visions of her children flashed in her mind. Max's mischievous giggle, Ellie's innocent smile. Everything she fought for dangled just beyond her grasp, mocking her with every heartbeat. "Help me, Mommy! Don't leave me!" Max's cries morphed into a cacophony of despair, filling the void where hope had once lived. "Fight! You have to fight!" she shouted to herself. As if fueled by her desperation, she twisted her wrist, bringing her other arm into the fray. She was determined to pull Max to safety, risking everything. For a moment, the shadows shrieked in frustration, their grip loosening, revealing the terrified face of her son, glistening with fear and rain. "Mom, is that really you?" he cried, confusion mingling with relief. "Of course it's me," Lisa shouted, yanking with every ounce of her strength, but the pit roared back to life, the darkness swirling into a whirlwind of screams and murmurs. It felt alive, angry at the defiance. Grayson surged forward, moving with terrifying speed. "No, don't let her do this!" He reached for Max, but Lisa was quicker. With one last desperate heave, she pulled Max fully from the pit. But the moment was stolen. As she drew him close, shadows converged on them, squeezing, clawing at the edges of her sanity. "They want you, too!" Grayson's triumphant laugh echoed above the layer of cries, bleeding fear into the very air they breathed. Lisa could feel the souls tangled in the darkness, a multitude of lost ones, reaching for her, tugging at the seams of her heart. Suddenly, she felt it. A shift.
Something new swirled in within the pit, something deeper even than the shadows. It pulsed like a living being, slick and hungry, eager to claim her. "Mommy," Max whimpered, clutching desperately to her leg. In that moment of clarity, she saw the truth. The pit was more than an abyss. It was a gateway, a bridge to a realm of unimaginable horrors, where those taken would never return. "Ellie!" Lisa cried, realizing the risk of abandoning one child to save another. "You're there too, aren't you? If I let go, will you still be mine?" The shadows writhed with a furious howl, the darkness eager to consume her, promising her children's safety if only she succumbed. And then it hit her, a memory, a whisper of light amidst chaos. The stories hidden deep within the earth, tales that could break the curse binding her children. Would those whispers guide her or lead her to the very depths from which no one returned? Suddenly, the pit convulsed violently. Grayson staggered back, momentarily bewildered. "What are you doing?" The shadows contorted, twisting into forms of torment. Lisa felt the breath of those who had lost the fight gather around them, a desperate plea melding with her children's cries. Was there a way to save them all, to rewrite the fate that Grayson had spun around them? Taking a breath that roared like thunder, she whispered,
I will not let you take them. I'll discover the truth of this darkness. A thorny branch burst from the ground, spearing toward her, a cruel manifestation of the gathering shadows aimed to drive her back. "Run, Max!" she screamed, an urgency igniting her soul. But the shadows had begun to dance, swirling in a morbid celebration. The air thickened with dread. The pit's intentions were now crystal clear. What had she awakened? Was there even a path back from this darkness? The rain poured heavier, each droplet a whispered curse. Lisa braced herself against the unknown, her grip tightening around Max. This battle was far from over. Would they find the strength to claw their way back, or would the shadows swallow them whole, leaving nothing in their wake but terror? In the dark infantry of a night that felt far too alive, the pit remained, watching, waiting. The shadows roared, alive and insatiable, as Lisa's resolve hardened like steel. Grayson's laughter faded into a distant echo, but the haunting faces peering from the pit grew clearer, their eyes wide with unhelpful understanding. Their silent screams clawed at her, urging her to join them in their twisted embrace. "Max, we can't stay here," she shouted, desperation drowning her voice. The rain, once a mere inconvenience, now battered against her like icy nails. She turned, her eyes flitting through the darkness, searching for any means of escape. The forest around them seemed to shudder, branches twisting and roots writhing like serpents, eager to entrap them. "Where do we go?" Max trembled, clutching her leg like a lifeline. His innocence tore at her heart.
She couldn't let fear lead them into oblivion. "Back! We go back!" Lisa propelled herself backward, dragging Max along. Every step felt like wading through molasses, the ominous pull of the pit relentless at her heels. The shadows hissed, swirling as if they were alive. Grayson lunged forward, a dark streak through the rain, trying to snatch them back into the depths. "Run!" Lisa screamed, pushing Max before her, forcing him to move faster. She could almost taste the acrid dread in the air. It filled her lungs and set her mind racing. Panic surged through her. Suddenly, a high-pitched wail pierced the night, echoing around them. "Mommy!" The pit seemed to react, shuddering as in response. She wasn't just hearing her daughter's voice. It felt charged, pulsing with the shadows, connected in a way that sent chills down her spine. "Ellie!" Lisa's heart split with a jagged pain. She couldn't leave her daughter behind. Not now, not ever. But the shadows swirled closer, a torrent of cold fingers grazing her skin, each a reminder of what awaited her should she falter. "Take my hand!" Max cried, his little hand stretching out. Somehow he had found clarity in the chaos. She grabbed it, pulling him close. Together, they would not falter. "Mommy, look!" He pointed further down the trail, where the weight of darkness lightened. A pale beam of light broke through the trees, beckoning them forward. Was it hope or a deceptive mirage? The shadows pressed at their backs, urging them to turn, to give in to despair and terror. "Stay by me!" Lisa commanded, and they sprinted toward the light, hearts pounding like war drums. With every step, the light grew brighter, illuminating the rain-soaked ground. As they came closer, the air shifted. The warmth of the light washed over them, enveloping them in a cocoon. But with it came more shadows that lashed and flickered, dancing with a sinister rhythm. The pit's whispers intensified, desperate to drown them out. "Join us, Lisa!" the voices cried, an amalgamation of Ellie's sweet tone and Grayson's cruel mockery. "Forever! It's all yours!" Lisa shook her head furiously, breaching the threshold of the light. "Not today!" she shouted defiantly, feeling the heat of warmth ignite her courage. But then came the sound. Crackling like bones snapping, the ground trembled beneath her, and the light flickered. It hadn't been salvation at all, but a mere illusion, a flicker of solace in a world consumed by darkness. With renewed dread, Lisa turned back, just in time to see the pit swell and surge, drawing in the trees around it. Whispers grew into a howling wind, hungry. This wasn't merely about them anymore. The pit aimed to devour everything. "We are the hunger," a voice rumbled from the deep, echoing through the forest. Fear bled into her veins, but Lisa didn't stop moving. "We will break this!" she yelled, her arms wrapped tightly around Max.
She was ready to fight for her children, but how could she outsmart an enemy born of nightmares? And then, above the howling chaos, she remembered those stories buried beneath the earth, the tales of hope woven into the fabric of the darkness.
They were the only weapon she had left. "Max, we have to find the stories," she cried, determination surfacing like a lifebuoy. Perhaps they were the bridge to save Ellie, the key to ending the terror that had gripped their lives. "Where are they?" Max's eyes glimmered, a spark of brave resolve igniting inside him. "I don't know, but we have to try." A chill raced down her spine. From the corner of her eye, the shadows shifted again, swarming toward them with a fevered hunger. Grayson was coming for them, and Lisa felt the weight of his fury and determination. As they raced toward the flickering light again, she realized they were not just fighting for their lives, but for the hope that had once filled their home. Would the stories hold the power to save them, or were they simply whispers lost to the abyss? A sinister laugh erupted from the dark mouth of the pit, echoing all around them, chilling Lisa to the core. The despair of the lost enveloped her again, and she knew the deeper she dug into the past, the more dangerous the truth could be. Where were those hidden tales? What would they uncover? And as thunder rumbled ominously in the distance, she realized the real horror was just beginning. Rain lashed against them like 100 cold fingers, pulling them deeper into the woods as Lisa and Max sprinted. The flickering light behind them was a deceptive lure, one moment promising safety, the next a harbinger of despair. With every step they took, darkness clawed at their backs, whispering sweet nothings meant to draw them back. "Mommy, hurry!" Max begged, his wide eyes reflecting both the thrill of fear and the weight of desperation. Lisa felt his grip tighten around her hand, a lifeline in the chaos. They stumbled forward, hearts racing, though fear threatened to paralyze them. The trees around them seemed to lean in closer, their twisted trunks contorting as if trying to listen to the monsters that lurked within the pit. Lisa's breath came in ragged gasps, her mind scrambling for a way out, while flashes of Ellie's face surged to the forefront of her memory, pushing her onward. "Think, Lisa, the stories," she reminded herself, her voice barely a whisper over the storm. A clearing, a thought of hope, flashed into her mind, a shadow of a place in the forest where the old oak stood, its gnarled branches shrouded in the superstitions of old. If the tales were real, if they still existed, they had to be there. "Max, follow me," she yelled, darting left down a path she barely remembered. Branches whipped against her face, slapping her like reprimands from a dark force. The howling whispers behind them crescendoed, the shadows forming into shapes, clawing at the earth and reaching out, grasping for them.
"Mommy!" Max's voice trembled, cutting deeper into her resolve. "I don't want to go back." "I know, sweetie. I won't let anything happen to you. Just keep running." She zigzagged through the trees, her heart thundering louder than the storm above. The pit's laughter echoed unnervingly in the distance, an unsettling reminder that they were never really safe. Suddenly, a flicker of recognition flashed across her mind. "This way!" she shouted, taking a sharp turn towards an unusually large tree, surrounded by smaller, twisted ones. There it was, its presence almost palpable. The old oak loomed ahead, a heavy symbol of the stories that clung to the soil, like those who could never leave. As they approached, a new sound filled the air, an ancient whispering, softer than the wind but more urgent. "They're here. They're all around." A low voice slithered through the leaves, wrapping around Lisa's psyche like a shroud. The rain softened, retreating to an ominous stillness, as if the world held its breath. "The stories, they're here," Lisa breathed out, stepping closer. The roots were thick and tangled, gnarled like the hands of those trapped beneath the pit. "They'll help us find Ellie." But the moment her fingertips brushed the coarse bark, a sudden jolt of energy coursed through her. Pain shot up her arm, grounding her to the spot, as visions danced in her mind, images of lost souls, weeping shadows, and the entwined fate of those who had vanished into the darkness. Grayson's derisive laughter wove through them, thickening the tension as Lisa felt the overlapped thread of their fates tightening around her neck. "Look, Mommy," Max cried, pointing towards the roots. A glow began to emanate, flickering faintly from a hollowed-out place at the tree's base. It pulsed with a soft light, beckoning them closer. "Stay close," Lisa warned, peeling Max off the bark as she stepped forward. But as she examined the hollow space, dread settled in her gut. Could this be the truth hidden away, or just another trap set by the shadows? The whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a gale, urging her to forsake her quest. "Join us, Lisa. Join us forever." The voices combined into a cacophony of tortured souls, each echoing with the promise of relief and the terror of surrender. "Mommy!" Max's quivering voice broke through the din, drawing her attention back. He clutched her leg, eyes wide with panic, as shadows twisted from the corners of the hollow, dark tendrils reaching for the light. "Max, we can't let them take us," she yelled, her feet rooted in place, heart racing as the decision looped before her. "Together, we have to take a leap." The glow pulsed again, the shadows hungry. But with every ounce of courage, Lisa had to find out what happened when the truth emerged. Do we dare? What waits below?
As the shadows began to fully envelop them, she understood that they were not finished battling this malevolence.
What lay under the oak might be the greatest horror of all, and might it also be the key? A deafening roar pierced the night as the ground trembled violently beneath them. And in the midst of her despair, a startling thought struck her. What if lifting the veil meant shattering everything they knew? With the tree groaning and shadows converging, she steeled herself for the next step into the void, half hopeful and half terrified of what awaited them in the darkness. Would the stories illuminate their path or drag them deeper into the abyss? The hollow widened, and Lisa's next move would determine whether she pulled them out of the shadows or surrendered to the depths forever. The glow from the hollow became a beacon, shining through the thickening shadows, but it felt like a curse as much as a blessing. Lisa's heart raced, each beat echoing in her ears like a war drum. She could feel the shadows tightening around them, a living thing, hungry and relentless. "Mommy," Max whimpered again, his voice barely a whisper now, swallowed by the chorus of whispers that wrapped around them like fog. The warm glow pulsed with an otherworldly shimmer, teasing them with hope, while the darkness hissed secrets above their heads, chilling their spine. "Shh, Max," Lisa urged, leaning down to meet his terrified gaze. "We have to trust this. Whatever this is, it could help us." But even as she spoke, a gnaw and certainty gnawed at her. What if it was a trap? What if the stories they had heard were not just tales, but warnings? The ground trembled beneath them, and with a surge of desperation, Lisa grasped Max's hand tighter. She could see shadows retreating, forming grotesque images that flickered just beyond the glow, like ghosts vying for attention. They twisted into familiar shapes, faces of the lost, crying out for release, enticed by the pulsing light. "What if they want us too?" Max asked, his eyes darting nervously between the shadows and the light. "We won't let them," Lisa asserted, though doubt wormed its way into her mind. "Together, remember? We'll make it through." She took a deep breath and stepped closer to the glowing hollow, her heart in her throat. "On the count of 3, we jump in. Ready?" Max nodded, but his grip was like a vice around her fingers. 1, 2... Before she could finish the count, the darkness erupted around them. Tendrils shot forward, wrapping around her arms, yanking her back with supernatural strength. "Max!" she screamed, panic washing over her as she fought against the pull. The cacophony of souls rose to a fever pitch, shrieking in a chorus that made her head spin. "Mommy!" Max's voice cut through the chaos, filled with raw fear. "I'm here!" she shouted back, struggling to maintain her grip on Max, even as the shadows clawed at her clothing, at her body. Suddenly, the glow intensified. A beam of blinding light shot up from the hollow, forcing the shadows to recede, but not without a fight.
The darkness curled and writhed like a living creature, displaying its fury at being pushed away. Lisa squinted, desperate to see what lay ahead, but afraid of what her eyes might reveal. Then, in a moment of clarity, she understood. The light wasn't just guiding them, it was a way to confront the darkness. But to face it, they needed to dive in, to confront the truth, whatever it may be. Emboldened by a spark of hope, she pulled Max closer. "Now!" Lisa yelled, and together they leaped into the hollow, bracing for impact. Shadows screamed around them, swirling like a storm. The moment their bodies crossed the threshold, a rush of cold air enveloped them. Lisa gasped as they fell, an eternity of weightlessness that felt both liberating and terrifying. And then they landed, not on solid ground, but into a swirling mist that enveloped them entirely. Breathless, Lisa's heart pounded against her ribs, and she struggled to see, to understand. Faint images of lost souls drifted through the opacity, their faces mournful yet serene. "Mommy?" Max's voice trembled in the thick air, pulling Lisa back to reality. "Stay close," she instructed, fear crawling up her spine. "We're not alone here." The echoes of the forest were replaced by a haunting silence, broken only by a soft weeping. As Lisa peered deeper into the fog, the shadows shifted and morphed into a figure, her heart racing as the person came into view. "Ellie?" she called uncertainly, the name hanging in the air like a ghostly whisper. But the shape twisted, shifting into something else entirely. "You shouldn't have come," it said, voice dripping in despair. "The pit doesn't forgive." Just as it seemed the figure might reveal answers, another darkness loomed, something much larger than they had ever encountered. Sucking in a sharp breath, dread swept through Lisa. What god-forsaken fate had she dragged him into? With that thought spiraling in her heart, she realized they had only begun to uncover the depths of the horror surrounding them. What awaited them in the shadows, and was the truth more terrifying than the stories had ever implied? The shadows around Lisa and Max twisted and writhed, as if alive,
eager to snuff out the light and drag them into the depths of despair. Lisa felt a chill encase her bones as the phantom figure faintly glimmered, morphing between the shapes of the lost souls she had glimpsed before. "Ellie?" she cried again, desperation spilling into her voice. "Where are you?" The desolate figure that seemed to materialize from the void echoed back, "You don't belong here. The darkness thrives on despair. You will join them or lose everything." Lisa's heart raced as she braced herself, pulling Max closer. "No, I won't let that happen." The wind howled around them, carrying the cries of the lost, their muffled wails tugging at her heartstrings, awakening an instinctive fear that threatened to paralyze her. "Mommy, I can't see anything."
Max's small voice trembled, filled with trepidation. His grip tightened on her hand, pure terror coursing through him. "Stay with me," Lisa reassured him, her voice firm yet laced with anxiety. "This light will protect us from whatever lies ahead." Summoning every ounce of courage, she stepped forward, the mist swirling violently in response. Shadows danced like puppets at the edge of her vision, whispering secrets that twisted her stomach into knots. "Join us, Lisa," a multitude of voices whispered in perfect unison, each one a dissonant echo of the souls she feared might be lost forever. "No, you don't get to control us," she shouted defiantly, feeling her heart surge with warmth against the creeping cold of despair. As they pushed deeper into the fog, hazy memories began to rise, flashes of laughter, joy, beloved family moments left behind. They were the anecdotes of love that lit every dark corner of her soul. She refused to let the echoes of darkness snuff them out. Suddenly, a blinding light burst forth from an unseen crack, illuminating the mist with a golden hue. In that moment, Lisa caught sight of her daughter, Ellie, standing amongst the phantoms, her disheveled hair glistening with raindrops and a look of uncertainty clouding her eyes. "Mommy!" Ellie cried out, her voice breaking through the tempest. "Ellie!" Lisa's heart leapt as she sprinted toward her, each step pulling her daughter closer. The shadows converged in a furious assault, hissing and striking against the glow of hope. "Stay away from her!" Lisa shouted fiercely, feeling a primal strength surge as she reached for Ellie's hand. Finally, their fingers touched, a spark igniting. "I'm here! I found you!" In that instant, a wave of energy transported through them, something almost sacred. Ellie's wide eyes mirrored the fear Lisa felt deep within, yet there was an undeniable strength pulsing through her daughter's spirit. "Mommy, I was so afraid," Ellie stammered, shaking. "Fear not, love. We will leave together, all of us," Lisa shouted, holding both of her children tightly. "Max, Ellie, hold on." As shadows lunged at them, gripping at their legs, Lisa took a deep breath and shouted a primal scream, resonating with the echoes of the souls that surrounded them. "We are stronger. We are love. You cannot break us." In that moment, the light erupted again, glowing fiercely and illuminating their faces. The shadows shrieked, recoiling, forced to retreat from the overwhelming warmth. Together, the three of them found their way back towards the light. It wrapped around them, dispelling the darkness with each brave step. The shadows screamed, an anguished wail echoing through the wretched air, dissolving into puffs of smoke. The pit beckoned toward the remnants of despair, but Lisa's heart burned bright with the conviction that they had a choice. The memories of love, the stories they had chased, were stronger than the darkness that sought to consume them. Then they were free. The darkness fell from their grasp, and the three of them tumbled into a bright meadow bathed in morning light. Gasping, Lisa blinked at the sight, her heart flooded with relief. They were alive. "All of us," she murmured, wrapping her arms tightly around her children. "We made it." As they stood together, the memories of the cursed land began to fade, the shadows of Grayson and his torment shriveling like autumn leaves. They had faced the heart of darkness and broken its hold with the bond of love. "We'll never speak of this again," Ellie whispered, slowly wiping away the tears of fear. "Agreed," Max nodded, casting a wary glance back toward the fading shadows before turning back to their mother with an innocent smile. Lisa smiled, a true smile that broke the weight of terror from their previous night. "Just remember, we are stronger together, and love will always guide us home." With a final echo of warmth, the landscape shimmered and began to shift, a new path forging ahead, one full of hope, stories, and light. As they walked forward, hand in hand, brighter days waited just beyond the horizon. The farm thrummed with life again. The memories buried deep in the soil would decompose,
metamorphosing darkness into life anew. As the sun set on their haunted past, a new beginning unfurled ahead, a promise whispered in the rustling corn, a testament to the unyielding power of love and courage. But wait, before you go and let the shadows creep back in, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm some love. Flood the comment section with all your reactions and theories about this wild ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show you really support the channel. Don't wait even one more second. Only true fans like you understand the importance of keeping the stories alive.